Aloha! Welcome back. I just spent the day at the beach and I biked there and it just started raining, so I got back just in time. Yeah, so I'm hopping back on here because I have something I want to talk to you about. I have had South Carolina on my mind a lot lately. Baltimore too. Just like home and familiarity. You're gonna get homesick if you leave your home, you know, like for an extended period of time. And I knew it was gonna happen, but I'm homesick anyways. But what I've come to realize is that I actually have the best of both worlds, because while I miss my home and my home university, I'm also really happy here, and I'm already trying to figure out a way to get back here. So I really get the best of both worlds. It's kind of awesome. Plus, there's tons of roosters here to make me feel super at home, just like I'm back in Williams-Brice Stadium. Yeah. But yeah, you know, thinking about Willie B and the Horseshoe and South Carolina, and feeling this sense of like missing home, I feel like that is an indication that I'm really lucky to feel that way, you know? Like, I feel like it's awesome that I feel so at home in South Carolina at my home university. I'm lucky to have a place like that and a connection with my university like that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of awesome too. And part of being here is realizing that, coming to realize how much I miss that place and how much I love it. Sometimes you don't know how much you love something until it's gone, right? But there is plenty of stuff here in Hawaii to make me want to stay here. For example, when I wake up every morning, if it's a clear morning, I can see Mauna Kea from my window, the peak of Mauna Kea, which is really cool. That's a whole volcano, and it's literally a 20-minute bike ride, and I can be in the ocean. Like, that's wild. So, you know, options. The other thing that about the landscape that a lot of people don't think about, but it's something that I really pick up on, are the trees and like the plants in a place. So like Maryland, maybe it's because I grew up there, but I think of Maryland's trees as like, it's what you think of when you think of a forest. And then South Carolina has these pine trees that are super tall. They're all really close together, and they have like a little poof of pine needles at the top. And I call them toothpick trees. And whenever we see them on the highway, I'm like, yep, I'm here. I'm in South Carolina. Like, that is how I know I'm in the South. So here, there's none of that. It's all coconut trees, tea trees. And then there are these trees that are like, it's a whole tree, but it has these orange flowers in them. Like, it's just covered in orange flowers. And they're beautiful. Oh my goodness. I love them. There's a lot of pretty things to look at. And the temperature's not bad either. The climate is pretty sweet. I mean, it's February, it's like the middle of February, and I'm like getting in the ocean. But part of what that means is that a lot of the buildings here in Hilo and on this island and in Hawaii are open air. Especially on campus, a lot of the buildings, instead of like going inside a classroom building to get to your classroom, you just like walk up to the building and then open the door and you're in the classroom. And it's nice, like you're outside as much as possible here. It's kind of amazing. I've been outside more than I have in a long time, and I love it. But to be fair, imagine, you know, being outside during a Maryland winter, like, or a South Carolina summer. You know, this is only really made possible by the fact that the temperature here is very, very mild. I don't know if you can hear, but it has started pouring outside. I'm glad I got back when I did. University of Hawaii Hilo also has a really diverse population. And that's not to say that the student body at University of South Carolina isn't diverse, but the history of the plantation system on Hawaii just lends itself to the population being more like culturally blended and the system and the blending of cultures have kind of created this like very unique culture, like as a whole. And the best like analogy for that is Hawaiian Creole English. It's like coming together out of necessity, just like being brought together and creating a way of communicating. And now, generations later, people still speak it. And it's very unique to this place. So there's a lot of diversity in Hawaii as a result of the plantation system. In the 1800s, when missionaries came, their descendants began sugarcane plantations and imported laborers from Japan, China, Portugal, the Philippines, you name it. And all of those people were working together on the same plantation for a long time. And so you got this mixing and blending of languages, cultures, there's a lot of intermarriage. And so what we have today is a result of that. But it creates amazing discussions in the classroom. Like, a lot of people talk about diversity being really good, being really helpful, and I knew that before, but I'm getting more of it firsthand, you know, like I'm getting more perspectives on things that we're talking about in class. So that's been really helpful to me. You know, I'm working on listening and learning more, and so it's been really good. I have appreciated comments from other students, sometimes more than the stuff that the professors give us. People can be really insightful, you know? So that's been really, really cool. And then the other thing that I like about both schools is their focus on local history. I feel like, and in South Carolina, a lot of the history professors are focused in civil rights history, Reconstruction history, Jim Crow era history. They know a lot about those things because essentially the South was kind of the hotbed for those issues. There's a lot of history of oppression and general racism in the South. I mean, that's just a fact. And so there are a lot of historians who study these things who are at places like the University of South Carolina because that's just where it makes sense for them to do research. So part of what I love is that I wouldn't know as much about those issues if I hadn't gone to University of South Carolina. And those issues are really important to know about, that history, because it's affected a lot of what's happening today. And so I've been really grateful to have that education, but that's what they're doing here at UH Hilo too. We're talking about Hawaiian history, Hawaiian culture, stuff that I wouldn't learn anywhere else really. But I feel like, in a way, they're really specific, but they're also really universal. Like, it's important that I took classes about civil rights history because it helps me understand race relations in America now. And it's important for me to take classes about Hawaiian history because while the experience of colonization and settler violence and generational trauma is it's unique for this group of people, it also is universal for Indigenous groups everywhere. And so for someone who's studying Indigenous history, it's really cool for me to be learning it on a really zoomed in scale, but be getting language that I can use to talk about everyone else, or kind of like reframing my lens to, you know, examine more oral histories. It just, people here are providing, my professors here are providing me with, they're challenging what I know, and that's really important to me. So both of my universities have taught me really, really important things, and I love them for it. So, but of course, with the good must always come the bad. So let's talk about a couple things that, you know, I really miss about South Carolina. The first is accessibility. If you are on the University of South Carolina campus, you can pretty much walk anywhere in Columbia, South Carolina. You can pretty much walk anywhere in the city. If you're on campus, you can walk to 5 Points, you can walk downtown to the State House, whatever you want, you can walk there. Here, not so much. It's like an hour walk to downtown Hilo. So the university makes accommodations for people who want to do things around the island. There's a program on the weekends that is free, and you can go on trips like around the island, different hikes and things. And then they also have a free bike rental program, which I've done this weekend, and it's been great. I got to go to the beach twice. So there's ways around it, but I do miss being able to just like walk everywhere because I don't have a car. So accessibility is kind of a big deal for me. And then the other thing is that in Colombia, a lot of things close really early and a lot of things are not open on Sundays. But in Hilo, it's a whole different story. Like, it is way more intense in Hilo. Everything, and I mean everything, closes at 9 p.m. Like, no exceptions. Like, there's literally nothing open after 9 p.m. And if you want to do literally anything on Sunday, well, you are out of luck because everything is also closed on Sundays. Like, restaurants, whatever, everything's closed. And it's not a religious thing like I think it is in the South. I think it's more of a cultural thing, just like the idea of, you know, taking a day off and relaxing and being with your family and wanting to go home and just like valuing things other than like being at work all the time. So that has been an adjustment. I've struggled with that a couple times, but I understand why people do it, and honestly, it's kind of nice. But, you know, at the end of the day, what I've noticed, and something that is very comforting to me, is that we're still in college here. Everyone's going through the same stuff that they do in South Carolina. Like, I'm in a really interesting position because I'm a junior in a freshman dorm, and so the people that I'm interacting with are going through things that freshmen go through, and it's just interesting to see, like, the universality of some of these things that we go through in college. I mean, we're all stressing about the same things, and there's different, like, markers that happen during your freshman year. So I think it's comforting in a way that I can be at home at any college campus, but it's also indicative of like human nature, you know, like at the end of the day we all go through similar things in our lives, even if our experiences are really varied. You know, there's some things that we all know and that we all can relate to. So sorry to get a little deep there at the end, but yeah, those are just some differences that I've noticed, and similarities, things that have been on my mind. I just wanted to share. I thought I would wear an Aloha shirt, one of the many. I really do love it here. I really do love the University of South Carolina. I'm deeply happy. I feel like I've finally found my place here. And at the same time, I have something to look forward to when I go home. So life is good, right? So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week with another video about my time here in Hawaii. Aloha. Oh.